All right, and would you please give the verdict and the instructions to the bailiff? All right. Mr. McCandless, please rise. We, the jury, find the defendant, Ezra J. McCandless, guilty of first-degree intentional homicide as charged in the information. And the answer to the special verdict question is yes, use a dangerous weapon. And you may be seated. All right, ladies and gentlemen, is this your verdict? All right, I'm going to do what's called polling the jury, and I'm going to ask each of you if this is your verdict.
In the courts, and Alex's family, but most of all, Alex's parents. I want to say how sorry I am that they have lost their son. But sorry doesn't cut it in my mind. That word is not enough and never will be enough for this loss. And I recognize that. I don't think I could ever find words that will be enough to express this, especially to them. The pain they feel is unimaginable. I want to express how sorry I am for this loss, because it is such a great loss. I recognize and completely acknowledge this pain, and I'm so sorry. I loved Alex very much, and I also feel a great loss. And I'm so sorry. And thank you for letting me say this. Thank you.
All right. Anybody need a recess?
We're prepared for the court to proceed if you would like to proceed at this time.
How about the state? Anybody need a recess?
No.
No? Okay.
You're okay.
All right. Well, whew. First of all, I think just because of some of the terms that have been thrown around here today, it's important that people understand how this works in Wisconsin. Normally, court at a sentencing would have to consider probation, but probation is not an option, so it cannot be considered in a first-degree intentional homicide case. So the court is, and we do not have a death penalty. We're not a death penalty state. So none of those things are in play. I have no doubt that there will be an appeal in this case, and there are so many issues the defense can raise, and they will be addressed at that time. However, from what this court could tell, Ms. McCandless had all sorts of things going on, these relationships that she was involved in, her own internal turmoil about what her identity was, her sexual identity, who she was as a person, what she wanted in life. And in this, page 4 of 5, this is document 521, silence is broken. And this was a line that is sort of stuck in my head. I feel like my mind is on fire. And this was written, I'm not sure how long before this homicide. As I understand, it was last, I guess, closed or opened, reviewed just a few days prior to this homicide. Journal number 2, exhibit 366. She talks about the first line. My mind is deeply haunted by the actions I've done. So she talks about waves of guilt and so on and so forth, pain, regret, disgust, and the word confused comes up in a number of different places. She had an awful lot going on in her mind, and she obviously was angry with Alexander Woodworth. The evidence that came from the communications between Ms. McCandless and Jason Mingle, which comes from document number 551, and that's Exhibit 465, and would have been about 10 days, roughly 10 days before this homicide. And she's talking to Jason Mingle about wanting to go and confront Alex, tell him, and now this is from one of the communications, I just want to give it back and stay out of my life and tell him how much I regret meeting him. And there were a couple of times during those communications where she talks about, one, I'm afraid I might punch him, though, if he gives me a look. Another line, to be honest, I might punch him in the face if he does a sarcastic, "your dumb" voice. And these are communications Ms. McCandless had with Mr. Mingle. So the night before this all happens, Mr. Mingle sends a picture from the wall at Racy's with the words, F me and her phone number, and in the court's opinion, that seems to be sort of the straw that, or the last spark that set off these tumultuous feelings that she had. So the court believes, and here's what the court is going to do for the reasons that I've stated. I am going to sentence Ms. McCandless to life in prison in the Wisconsin prison system, and I'm going to set the date that she would be eligible for petitioning the court for extended supervision at 50 years. It's a long time, but the way I reason this, that Ms. McCandless, if she does what she's supposed to do, follows the rules, that she at least has some light at the end of a very long tunnel. It's a long time. I won't be around. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be gone, like dead at that point. But I think I've thought about that for a number of different reasons. I think that way that Alex's parents, don't know exactly how old they are, or how long they have yet to live, but that spares them to have to see the day Ms. McCandless may petition to be released and perhaps have to go through some hearings. It's a long time down the road and does not unduly appreciate the seriousness of this offense in the court's opinion. And if this was a death penalty state, there would be no opportunity ever for that. But this is an intentional homicide, and it is that serious in this court's opinion. I think people expect, if maybe not an entire natural life, but at least if 50 years is a point where I think most people can agree that would not unduly depreciate the seriousness of the offense, and she would most likely not be a risk to the public after a very lengthy period such as that. Okay, that's all. We're adjourned.